Alright, now it's time to work on the last section on this page, and that is a footer. So we'll start adding this part to footer first. At the bottom, right below the main tag, I'm going to add footer element, where I'm going to place another container. And before actually adding any content inside this element, let's make background color of the footer indigo with a shade of 900 and increase paddings from the top and the bottom. From the top I'm going to use 10 units and 8 units from the bottom. Next one, we're going to use logo with a project name, just like we have done inside the header. And for that reason, I'm going to copy all the markup of the logo from the header and move it inside the footer right here. But of course, it is not going to look great at all because colors have to be changed. So I'm going to use white color for the logo and the text itself. And to do it, I'm going to add text white for this element as well as for this span element. Then there should be a little description right below the logo that I'm going to add right now by using this paragraph element. And then I'm going to assign spacing from the top. And the text of this description will be indigo with a shade of 200. I also want to make the width of the container with this description 80 units, and that is why I'm adding max W80 class to this element. Let's also add flex class to the wrapper element, because later on we're going to add a couple more lists into this footer, and we want those lists to be positioned at the same line with the logo and the description. Alright, so let's start adding markup for the first such list. In here, let's create a couple of div elements and add h3 heading that will say popular playlists. The list will be represented by the UL element that is going to contain a link. Later on we're gonna style this link, but first I'd like to assign classes to the heading element. Let's make the font semi-bold, decrease the font size, make it small, letters will be uppercased, and the distance between letters will be a little bit wider than the usual one, and text will be white. Then as for this link, I'll make the text color indigo, and when hovering over this link, the text color will be white. And then just to make this list to be shifted to the right side of the footer element, I'm going to assign a mar auto class to the wrapper, which wraps logo with a description. And this way it's gonna push everything that comes after this block to the very right side of the footer. And actually, I forgot to specify the shade for the text color right here. It will be 200. So now let's add a couple more links to this list. I'm going to duplicate this list item a couple more times. The classes that are going to be assigned will be pretty much the same as for the first link. And then to be able to control the distance between all these list elements, I'm going to make this list flexible container, and elements will flow vertically. Then we can also assign gap_y2 class to add some spacing in between all those list items. Alright, that is looking good, but we also have to increase the spacing between the heading and the list itself. So we're going to make wrapper element flexible container as well, and elements will flow vertically. Then we can assign gap_y4 class to specify the distance between heading and the list element. And the styles for this list are pretty much ready. We can just copy over this list and paste it a couple more times to add additional lists. So let's do so right now. In the second list, I'm going to change the heading on configurations, as well as change the text of all list items. Here it will say settings. The second link will be keyboard shortcuts. And the third one will say code snippets. Then let's add the same list one more time. This is going to contain social links. The heading will say social, and then the first link is going to lead to the YouTube page. The second one will be a Telegram link, and finally the third one will lead to the GitHub page. And to add some horizontal spacing between all those three lists, I'm going to assign flex class to this wrapper element and increase horizontal spacing between all child elements, set it to 16. And that is looking good. There is one more element that is currently missing from the footer, and that is this text. Please note that there is also a slightly visible top border, so let's add another div at the very bottom of the footer with that text. And now I'm going to firstly add top border by using border T class and specify the color for this border. It will be indigo with a shade of 800. The padding top will be 8 units. Text will be centered and smaller than the default size, and the text color will be indigo with a shade of 200. There is also another thing that we have to add to make this footer look better, and that is the spacing between footer lists as well as bottom text. So let's add classes flex and flex call to this container element, and then we can control the spacing between child elements by using gap classes. In this case, I'm going to make vertical spacing 8 units. And now that we are done with all that, we can finally apply the font globally. So I'm going to open up Google Fonts webpage and look for the font with the name Open Sans. Right here, I'm going to copy over this code snippet to include this font on the page. So let's get back to our code, and right here, inside the head element, I'm going to add the title, which should say Code Editor, and right below the title, I'm going to paste that code snippet. And then to globally apply this font family by using Tailwind CSS, all we have to do is to modify this configuration object and specifically use font family key and assign an object with the key sans, where we'll specify the desired font family. In this case, it will be Open Sans. And there we go, we are done working on this page. So eventually what we have got in our markup is this. We got the header section at the top, followed by the main section with 3 more sections, with hero section, feature section, and newsletter section. And at the very bottom we have footer section. So all main areas of this page are clearly separated. Link to the source code of this project will be in the video description.